We are pushing boundaries from behind boundaries here at Lucas with Kate McIntyre, James Valentino and me, Danny Lucas. I'm getting used to that intro now, Kate, actually. I'm quite liking it.
Very catchy. Loving it.
I want to credit young Alex.
Escalating in the charts.
I want to credit young Alex Bennett for that, who did a great job coming up with our show theme over literally an hour. Just next thing I know is I've got a jingle from him and I'm doing a voiceover, so he did a great job.
He did a brilliant job. And with the logo as well, we have literally cobbled this together high speed because we wanted to start getting it out there, didn't we? So let's get to episode number 2, guys. And today, the advance of the coronavirus, as we know, has seen an escalating lockdown on both our social mobility and our businesses, forcing all non-essential companies across all sectors to essentially shut their shutters. Now, many operations, understandably, have been severely affected. And so the government has launched numerous temporary schemes to help them to retain their employees and protect the UK economy, which is great news. So I guess today on Pushing Boundaries from Behind Boundaries, the question is, can you hit the financial challenges head on and essentially make the right call for your business, which isn't an easy ask, is it, Danny? So I just want to bring you in at the top here and ask you to briefly, in a nutshell, talk me through the varying degrees of shutdown that affected Lucas UK in the multifaceted world of construction.
Yeah, Kate, we sort of tried to look ahead. We had visibility that this was coming. We made a move very quickly the minute the lockdown announcement was made on the 23rd of March. And the next day literally played out almost a pre-choreographed event, really, that saw a skeleton team locking sites down in readiness for, like a 3-week closure for Christmas break, really. And of course, through that period now, which we've had, week 3 now? We're in week 3. We have had varying degrees of shutdown, I'd say, across the business. Some essential works are now back up and running on sites. The industry has been told to get back to work. Construction has been told it's essential to the UK economy and it should work. So we've got permits to work now and we're back up and running in a much more small-scale operation. But, the industry has had to deal with something very quickly, overnight almost.
Yeah, and of course, the industry as a whole has, and all the people that are part of that industry, all the employees. So, James, as the crisis was unfolding, was the phone ringing off the hook? Was the inbox pinging away as team members, understandably, must have been a little bit worried about their jobs or uncertain about the future?
Yeah, Kate, we obviously do a lot of continuity planning in the business and trying to plan for every eventuality that's got a potential outcome. It's always a shock when something actually happens, but we do always have a plan in place to handle most eventualities. With this, it was softened slightly by the foresight. We stayed up to date very, very regularly with the industry news and the worldwide news. Obviously, it's a state of events that's been played out in other countries ahead of us. So when it came, what helped us a lot through keeping our teams informed was it was a slightly less harsh shock, if you like, as what it could have been, certainly.
So, Danny, I know, as the government support packages unfolded, I'm sure a lot of businesses, as you would, panicked and wanted to dive in right away. But then I guess this is where that age-old phrase, keep calm and carry on, must kick in a little bit. As really, you need to initially hold your nerve as a business, don't you? Sit back, take stock and see what the best course of action is for you, and don't just ping into action straight away.
Yeah, it's very easy to panic, and I've seen a lot of that. I've seen business owners that I've been connected to for years that are, very strong people that can make very strong decisions, literally turn to jelly over this and not know where to turn and completely go into free fall with panic. And I've had to try and talk them into a calm state, because it's only when you've got that calm state that you can actually make proper decisions. And unfortunately, this gets in your mind. We've got a lot of news, a lot of media that's negative, and it can bombard us and actually affect us the way we think. I think, keeping calm, it's all well and good saying that. A lot of people will say, well, it's all right saying that. This is reality. And, you can say that. But for me, it's not like that. But I do think that businesses more than ever in this situation definitely need to hold their nerve and keep calm. Otherwise, you're just going to make
Mm.
the wrong decisions. And these are going to be long-term decisions that will impact the future forever if you get them wrong.
So, Danny, for you then, how did you manage to sort of take a step back and keep calm? I mean, is that the sort of head you have on your shoulders generally, or was this situation just so extreme that you needed a moment to catch your breath?
Well, I'm quite an obsessive person. If I want to know something, I want to learn it to like absolute nth degree. So I will immerse myself in anything, no matter what the subject is. There's a great phrase which is become an expert in 10,000 hours. So if you put the effort in and all the learning, you can actually understand the situation. And what I did, I completely saturated my brain with every single view of this, whether it was to do with news, whether it was to do with conspiracy theories, whether it was to do with industry updates. I wanted to become an expert in the whole picture. And that allowed me to then have the balcony view, if you like, of the whole situation. And it allowed me to then have these chess pieces, if you like, on the table in front of me, and I could work out which ones to move and when, and I could start to plan ahead, things that I thought would happen. And I started to find that I was able to predict things that were going to happen, and I planned to deal with them before they happened. And as soon as it happened, we were off the shelf ready each time, and it was like knocking Skittles over. And I think that, you know, there is a path here. It is something that we've got examples of around us that we can see. As James said, you know, this has happened before it came here. You can see how this plays out. And you know, if you can see that rather than just seeing the now and all the noise and you can't see through it, it will stop you making the right decisions. And I think that's the key thing for me, was absolutely soak it up and then look at what you've got and work out the chess pieces to then move them in the right order and play the game that you need to play in business, and to protect your staff and jobs, because otherwise we're going to have poverty. You know, what's the future look like beyond that? It's not even worth thinking about. Doesn't bear thinking about, and it's not where I want to go. So that was the key thing for me that allowed me to do that.
Great. And James, I suppose with that sort of mindset then, as you hinted towards a moment ago, it allows you to stay one step ahead of the game, doesn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. It's you know, everything comes down to planning. There are always going to be unknowns as a business and as operating in the construction industry. But it's all about doing what you can to be as prepared as possible, so that you have these, as Danny words it, off the shelf solutions, so that when we find ourselves in a situation, we're as prepared as we can be to tackle it.
Yeah, great. So I know businesses then, you know, nationwide, whether they're large or small, may want some help from the government. They may not. They're catching their breath. They're taking a beat and seeing what way they want to move forward with their business. But it's great to know what the options are that are available. And of course, not everyone in a company is lucky enough to have a financial director or expert, or even someone who's got their head around all the possibilities. So aside from looking on the government websites, it's always nice to hear somebody just outline the possibilities and the support that's out there. So I know, Danny, Sean is your finance director.
Yeah, so
worked
Sean,
with him for a number of years.
Absolutely. Sean Rowbotham and I have been working closely together. We're lucky enough that we've got a finance director. As you say, most businesses, a lot of small businesses don't. They rely on, obviously, accountants, and I'm sure that the advice is great. But and there's websites, there's Martin Lewis's stuff. It's all out there. But again, it's cutting through the noise. And I think sometimes it's quite reassuring to get an inside peek inside a company and see what they're doing. And I think, you know, having Sean available on the show today is great. So we're going to give him a call and see what he's got to say on this, because I think his financial brain on it and setting out what's available will give structure to a lot of people.
So, Danny, I think hopefully we've got Sean, your finance director, on the phone.
We have, yes. Sean Rowbotham, been working with me now for many years at Lucas, and together we've been working very closely to navigate our way through this financial situation that we're in. And I think I'll pass over to Sean to just set the scene on that before we talk about the support that's available. Thanks, Sean, for joining us. Really appreciate that.
Thank you, Danny. We've been working very hard during this pandemic to support our business. The key priority for us at this stage, Danny, at the instigation of the pandemic, was to work with all our stakeholders on the lifeblood of our business, which is the cash flow. And the key tool you and I have worked through is the cash flow forecast, which is basically showing the receipts and payments of our business over the coming weeks. And that tool we've used as a plan to position ourselves for the next step of actions that we take.
Well, that sets the scene perfectly, Sean, because it's like a business plan, it's like a format, and you know, without that, you're blind, aren't you? You can't navigate your way through it. But that's helped us massively, and of course, one of the big things that we know is out there as a support package, which we've seen a lot of people react to, is this coronavirus job retention scheme. Just so that people understand in simple terms, Sean, what is that about? Just so that everyone gets to understand that.
This is a scheme introduced by the government to help businesses retain their staff through this period of time when their turnover has fallen, the demand for their goods and services has dried up. And what it entails is that the government give a grant to the employers of up to 80%, up to a limit of £2,500 per month per employee, from the 1st of March to the 3-month period. And the window to apply for that grant opens up with Hmrc at the end of April.
Brilliant.
So, Sean, with that, I'm sure, you know, a knee-jerk reaction for a lot of businesses might be to think, oh, we have to immediately furlough all of the staff. But actually, that might not be the best option or the best decision.
And that's one of the crucial bits here. You will see a number of solutions or options that businesses have available to them. And it's balancing which are the right options to choose and when to implement them. So acting in haste can sometimes not be the answer to the problem. First step is, as I said at the beginning, was get the plan in order, and then from that drive your decision making.
I'll just add to that, Kate, as well. One of the mistakes that I've seen a lot of people make, you know, it all comes from the plan, as Sean said. If you've got the business plan set out, the cash flow forecast, that's a live document that allows you to navigate your way through and see when pinch points are coming and where risks are, it will allow you to not rush into furloughing. I've seen examples where within days of the lockdown, services were required and companies had already just furloughed everybody and they couldn't react. And that actually meant that they weren't able to provide a service and get paid for doing genuine work. Buying your time and not making that knee-jerk reaction is really important. And I know that there's some companies out there with some massive numbers that need to make quick decisions. But smaller businesses in particular need to look at the bottom drawer, if you like, and see what they've put aside that can cushion them through this, because it could be the make or break of the future of their business.
And an alternative option open to people to furloughing is to put them on part-time working hours. And in that way, you bring down your payroll bill, but you still have access to your people, because under furlough, no one's allowed to work. And so you don't have access to the skills, experience, capabilities and knowledge of those that you put on furlough.
And I know, Danny, you've spoken about some of your employees taking some of their holiday, which is another option to obviously keep staff there and available, but then you won't be hit by big holiday requirements later on in the year when things are back to normal. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, people are building up holiday. They haven't used it yet. A lot of them that have got stuff booked now isn't happening because holidays have been cancelled. And of course, giving staff the option to consider using that up during this period ensures full pay for them, but using up holiday that they will lose if they don't take it, because you know, we're not going to be in a position to fund everyone on the company having a month off at the same time if this becomes a pinch point at the end of the year. And of course they'll lose that then, and we can't pay them because financially we'll end up paying everybody for 56 weeks of the year instead of 52. So using holiday pay now and thinking about that is important. While we're not at full capacity and people have got time, then you might as well use up the holiday pay, and it ensures that you can pay people the full rate still. So it's another cushioning tool rather than just going straight into furlough.
James, can I just bring you in here? Because I know you've got a pretty broad spectrum of employees. Some are office-based, some are on site, short-term contracts, long-term contracts. Has that been a bit of a challenge in this period?
Well, yeah, I mean, like a lot of businesses, Kate, we've obviously got a lot of varied people that rely on the business for their livelihood. Um, the government were very quick to come out with a set of devices, tools to help businesses in this situation. Obviously, with things like the furloughing scheme, the job retention scheme. But obviously, as a lot of us have seen on the news, and as it's unfolded with self-employed people in particular, it's taken a little bit longer to put those measures in place. There's obviously a number of ways businesses have come around it. Something that we've certainly done as a business is Danny and Sean and the relevant teams have worked very hard within Lucas to put a financial package together, a support package for all of our team members and all of our stakeholders to at least on a personal and a professional level be looked after through this sort of period.
Fantastic. And knowing that support is there from you guys is just brilliant for everybody in the company. And I'm sure they expect nothing less than that from Lucas. I mean, Sean, I know obviously we've talked about the job retention scheme. There are other measures like the business interruption loans and VAT deferrals. Can you sort of just bullet point a few of those just so people are aware?
Yes, the business interruption loan scheme is available to the SME businesses. It's provided through the British Bank and their partners, who are the high street banks. The key issue there is having a viable business before the coronavirus, and then presenting a credible and fundable proposition to the bank, who will then support you through the process. You will have read in the newspapers recently there were some issues around giving personal guarantees. For loans under £250,000, that necessity has been waived, but loans above 250, you still need a PG. The other schemes that are available is the support to pay tax from Hmrc, and what this means is that you can defer your VAT payments and defer your PAYE and NIC payments. In addition, there has been the ability to get business rates relief if you're in the hospitality and leisure sectors. And two other areas I'd encourage businesses to look at is their rent, by opening up discussions with the landlord to investigate whether a rent holiday is possible. And the final area is, if you have any HP or finance agreements, is to open up discussions with the lender there to seek deferring payments for a period of time.
Some great tips there of sort of what's available, really, and rushing for all of them is not practical. As Sean said, if you've got that plan set out, you can decide what you want to take out of the shopping basket. One thing I'd like to add, just to what Sean said, particularly on the personal guarantees, I'm hearing, and strangely, I mean, I'd completely advise against this, some businesses saying, I don't really want to go for that because I've got to give a personal guarantee. Well, that means putting your house up or whatever. But, you've got to stand in front of your business and lead from the front during this situation. I know it's not a war here, but, it's the biggest thing that's affected the planet that I've known of in my life. And, you won't have anything here if you don't take action and take decisions. And I think to not put a personal guarantee up because you're worried about your own personal circumstances, everyone's going to have a problem if we don't get through this. So I think it's really important that people realise that you've got to lead from the front with your businesses and make those decisions. And no one's going to give you anything. This is, as Sean said, they're looking for viable businesses. This would they have loaned this money to a company before the coronavirus? If they would, you'll apply. The fact that you've been interrupted by corona, they'll lend you the money. But if you think that that's just going to be given to you because of this, and you ain't got to pay it back or whatever, that is not going to happen. You need to put a personal guarantee up, and you're entering into a proper term with the bank with a cushion of no payments for a year, no interest, no capital payments, which is where the benefit comes. And then you go into a 5-year period or whatever of paying it back. But you've got to realise that no one's going to give you anything. These are help schemes that are available to support through a downturn, but it's to get you back out of it, and of course you've got to pay it back and stand by your business.
And Danny, I mean, really, that it's an element of, as they say, putting your money where your mouth is as a business. and perhaps initially investing some of the reserves that you have already to help preserve as much of the team as possible and future-proof your business moving forward.
Exactly. Everybody's got a bottom drawer, whether it's £1 in it or £100 in it, it doesn't matter, but everyone's got a bottom drawer. We save for a rainy day. Now's the time you need to tap into that. It's not about being worried to save that, because everything will go. And this is long term. You know, the decisions you make now, as Sean said, you know, you've got to look now and you've got to navigate through the now, but you've got to look medium term and long term as well, and make decisions now that are going to change the direction of your business and protect your business, because you're going to have to pay these loans back. So you still need to be trading beyond this. I'd like to thank Sean. I think, you know, obviously, Sean, it's great to have you on, and we're very grateful for the succinct and thorough advice that you've given us, which our viewers hopefully will get a lot from, or our listeners. Yeah, thank you very much for that, Sean.
Thank you.
We'll let you go now. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Sean. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you, Sean. So, James, I just want to bring you in here and say that obviously everything we've heard now points towards this being a massive learning process for everybody. Nobody, as Danny said, expected to experience anything like this in their lifetime. There is no quick fix. But I guess for you and your team, it's about maintaining visibility for your employees and being open and connected so they know that you've got their back and you are looking for the next step forward to take the company to the next level.
Definitely, Kate. I mean, I think you've hit the nail on the head there with that is the key to it, is communication. Unfortunately, we're all in an unknown at the moment. Nobody out there has got the answers for what's coming next, or what the solution to all of this is. So it's about taking what we have got and what we do know and making sure that we communicate that as effectively as possible to the teams. We want to make sure that everybody's properly informed within the company. And what's really helped us through this period is the investments that we've made in digital technology, apps, media, everything that we've got within the company to try to make the business and all of the individuals more connected is really proven to be very useful and invaluable throughout this period in keeping everybody informed and up to date with the latest that is happening to Lucas and the wider industry as well.
Brilliant, guys. I mean, it's been a really sort of interesting and informative chat. Great to have Sean on here too. So Danny, just to kind of round up here today, if there was one bit of advice that you'd like businesses of any shape and size to take away from today's chat, what would it be?
Well, it's probably more than one thing, Kate, although it can be headed up under one heading. I've heard people lock the door, go away and just forget about it and think they're going to just go back and that it'll all just continue and that they'll be bailed out and it'll all be back to normal. You've got to live and breathe this. Now is the time. We don't get a lot of quality time in our lives because of technology and demands on us. We've got a moment here where you can spend so much quality time thinking about your business and planning what your business looks like beyond this and how you're going to get through this, that you need to live and breathe this as a business owner. You need to soak up every bit of knowledge you can. You need to get all of the advice. You need to learn everything. You need to plan ahead. Take advantage. This is the biggest. I've had nearly 3 weeks here to completely spend 18 hours a day sometimes, just completely immersed in how I'm going to navigate my way through this so that the future is bright for everybody. And I think that really is what I would suggest. It's not too late. I mean, people might be sitting there enjoying the sun at the moment, and I know that the weather's great and we're working from home, but these problems, you can't kick the can down the road. You need to hit them face on and live and breathe it and absolutely immerse yourself. There's one phrase that I saw this week, a guy called Brian Rose, who runs a channel called London Real. It's something new that I'd only just discovered, but entrepreneurial, a bit like TED Talks, has some great people on. He put this fantastic phrase out, which I posted on my social media, and I just think it sums it up, what I've said, but in a really good way. So it says, lockdown, the worst moment of your life or the best. 1 year on, we will look back on these times with deep reflection. Books will be written, movies will be made, heroes will be honoured. What will your story be of this time? One of creation, transformation, metamorphosis, triumph? Or will it be one of weakness, scarcity, fear and failure? Right now could be the greatest moment of your life, or it could be the very worst. And what determines that is you. It's not the events, the circumstances or the virus. It's you who makes the choice of how to respond to any situation, anywhere, anytime. Remember, life is happening for you, not to you. No matter what the circumstances, every single situation in life is a chance to grow or a chance to complain. You make the choice. And I just think that says it all, really, in a great way, that fires me up when I read that. I've shared that with a lot of people. That's my advice, really, Kate, on this. Certainly from a financial point of view, it's all about protecting your people. And that's about health, safety and all the procedures. But it's about their jobs. It's about their future. It's about their families. It's about their homes. It's about their mortgage payments. It's about life beyond coronavirus and what that looks like. And I think, that for me is it.
Great. Thank you, Danny. And there is a life beyond coronavirus, and we will get there. And I hope that everyone listening today has taken a little or a lot of inspiration from the podcast. And guys, join us for the next one next week. Well, that's it. Thank you very much, James. And thank you, Danny.
Thank you.
Fantastic, Kate. I'm going to press the outro that Alex Bennett has cut for us. So credits to Alex again. Here we go. Good to see you all, guys. Thanks for listening. Tune in again. And don't forget, you can email us socialmedia@lucasuk.com.